Welcome back to the GallowgateShots YouTube channel. My name is Matthew, and thank you for being here for another episode of Beyond the Lines. It's the show where we get an opposition supporter's view when it comes to previewing Newcastle's next game. And this Saturday, it's a bloody big one. It's not just a 6-pointer. It could be a season definer for both sides. And to help me preview this one, the game at the Brentford Community Stadium, I am joined by a huge Brentford fan. He is a podcaster. He is a busy bee. He is a man who is on this channel for the second time. He is lovely. He is brilliant. It is Billy, ladies and gentlemen. How are you doing, sir?
I'm not too bad, Matt. Thanks for inviting me back on, and thanks all the Newcastle fans as well for tuning in, as we say. Enjoying having a little bit of a chinwag with you today.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you back, man. It's a pleasure to have you back. Let's just jump straight into it. Not just the match this Saturday. I'm already feeling a bit sick about thinking about that. But let's just talk about Brentford. That's why you're here. Brentford, first season in the Premier League. We spoke about that, at the start of the season before that 3-3 draw at St James's Park. How would you sort of qualify that this season so far? Would you quantify it? Sorry. I mean, it was a pretty decent, solid start. Only one win in the last 8. How are you feeling?
I'm totally. Listen, I know I shouldn't be feeling like this, I suppose, because there's a lot of panic going down in TW8 as it is. But I'm still feeling pretty cool, and the reason why is that I think I've gone fairly level-headed into this season as to what I've expected from my team. They've superseded all expectations. And I think when they start superseding, you beat Arsenal first game, you beat West Ham in the first month, you beat Wolves in the first few weeks as well. You start getting a little bit excited, and that's what you do. But the reality is, listen, the reality is we know what we needed to do this season. We needed to finish 17th, and I'm not trying to sort of put us down or put anyone down. It's so cliched, but that is the scenario. We're a small club, we were only 4,000 fans, sort of 8-9 years ago. Okay, so we've expanded. Now we get 17,000 people each week, and it's fine. All the Newcastle fans that are going to come down, they're going to check out our stadium. It's tight, it's noisy. There's millions of pubs around. Literally, you can't. It's like Newcastle. Like literally, there's pubs everywhere. You can wear your colours. There's no problems. Like what I'm saying. And getting in anywhere, and it's really friendly. Again, like what we got up in Newcastle, which I thoroughly enjoyed. All the Newcastle fans were absolutely brilliant. So for me, that's part of my enjoyment. My enjoyment is going to see my team play and being in the Premier League, and just I'll say see it as it goes. And the fact is that I know we got some great players, we've got some good players, but I also know it's going to be tough. We were warned that was going to be tough after January when it gets cold and wet, and you played X amount of games, and they say some teams have sussed you out. Yeah, I see that to a certain extent, but we got a massive injury, before we played you, and I talked about this before, and it really affected us. End of October, all through November, those injuries massively affected us, especially David Raya, our goalkeeper, key player in the way that we play, and him not being in the side completely. And I'm going to try and use the word here, which I've probably never used before. Discombobulated us.
Nice.
Like, I'm saying?
Well done.
Yeah. So, we were all over the place, to be quite honest with you, when he was out. And this is not a disrespect on the goalkeeper that came in. We had a sub-keeper that came in. And after a couple of months, we had to get we bought a sub-keeper to sub the sub-keeper as well.
We've been in that situation before. Yeah.
Oh, it's a really weird scenario. And like I said to you, I'm not disrespecting them at all, because, listen, they've come in and they've been parachuted in to do a job. But it just kind of wasn't quite working for us. And then other players been out, like Aya, and either Toney was out and Bumo's been out. And, we were down to our 6th centre-back who was playing for us I think he played against you, actually, Charlie Good, who now is on loan at Sheffield United. She got sent off at Sheffield United yesterday, actually. So, was the day before. So, yeah, but listen, this is what we've had to deal with. And it's hard, because if we're not playing our first 11, whoever that may be, then it does kind of misbalance our side. But all the players that have come in, they're given a shift, they're doing what they've had to do, and I can only respect that. So for me, I'm panicking a lot less. Of course, I want us to just have a nice, clear run. I'd like us, we've got 3 games, probably 4 that we need to win, 3 and a bit that we need to win, I think, to stay up. A lot of people are thinking that we're not going to do that. I'm kind of thinking that if we don't do that, then we don't deserve to stay up, because you've got to be, there's a certain you've got to reach a certain level. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty relaxed about Brentford's season so far. Doesn't mean that I'm relaxed in the fact that I think, hey, we're going to do it. I'm going to be as nervous as anybody on Saturday. I'm going to be as nervous as all you Newcastle fans are going to be on Saturday as well. But I'm here in this season just to enjoy myself, to have a laugh. I enjoy going to every single match, or well, almost, like, there's a few matches that are a bit rubbish actually, and that's like Arsenal last week was quite rubbish, but and Man City was quite rubbish as well. But no, I enjoy going to games, and that's it for me. That's what it's about. So I'm not getting too down about our side. We got some great players.
Well, I think we could all take a leaf out of your book, Billy, in terms of not perhaps optimism, but seeing football for what it is, for it there to be enjoyed. I think Newcastle supporters, it's been hard to enjoy the last 14 and a bit years, but you're dead on. You're dead on, and hopefully, we can all get together on Saturday. Fortunately, I won't be there, but and just have a good time before the business. That 2 hours of hell, which it will be for both of us. I mean, the nerves are just going to be there, and I'm really not looking forward to it. But I digress. Now, you've just mentioned injuries there. Ivan Toney's been out for how long now?
I'm not quite sure. He's been out. I think he went out just after the incident that took place, which was during the break.
Billy, I'm glad you brought that up, because we don't have to linger on it at all. I mean, it's football. Footballers, they get themselves in these situations. People throw cameras in front of their faces. Who knows what his sort of intentions were, or what his objectives were, saying what he said. But what is a level-headed, and quite optimistic Brentford fan? How did you take that? What are your thoughts on Ivan Toney now?
I pretty much, to be honest with you, I pretty much almost ignored it. Listen, it caught fire. A lot of Brentford fans were very upset and annoyed about it. On our Beesotted WhatsApp group, it all kicked off on there. People were just talking about it. But the thing about it is, I didn't want to get bogged down by it, because, to be honest with you, I've got no idea what he was saying, what he was doing. He was out there. I don't know if he was mashed up. I don't know if he was drunk. I don't know what was going on there.
Hey, you've got to be to do something like that, surely.
And to me, I mean, listen, I'm not making excuses for him, but she said something, and then he repeated what she said. Yeah. And it was it's just a pretty rubbish thing to say. Now, at the end of the day, listen, I can't second think to Ivan Toney, because we've got a saying at Brentford: Ivan Toney does what Ivan Toney does, and he really does just kind of do what he wants. And so, listen, he made his apologies. He did the statement. I didn't want to get too. I literally, and I'm not making excuses, I didn't want to get too wrapped up around it. I'm trying. I've actually come off social media. I'm on there, but I'm not on there, if you know what I'm saying. Besides, do their own thing, but I've also got my own Billy the B99, which I've actually sort of backed off since Christmas. And the only reason why is that I just thought, if you're not careful, you can get so wrapped into this whole social media thing that you don't get anything else done. And I've got had a New Year sort of creative burst, and I wanted to go sort of creative. I've got loads of things I wanted to do, so I thought, listen, I need to just remove myself for a while. I'll go back on at some stage, but it doesn't bother me that much. And I think this is probably a prime example of something where social media, it's gone to social media, and that's all blown up, and it's just kind of like, and everyone's trying to make head or tail of it. And for me, I kind of saw it, and then I just put it to one side. I said, look, you turn up on Saturday, you score some goals, just do whatever you have to do. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of my take on Ivan Toney, but he has been out pretty much since the end of that winter break that we had. I think he came back for one game. It might have been the Everton game, which we lost. I think that was a game that he came back for. It's the first game back. Then since then, he hasn't played a game, which is sort of
but did he sort of bring his injury back or something like that? Did he have a relapse?
Well, I think he got after the Everton game. Well, before that, he has COVID, so he was out for COVID sort of around the Christmas period into the New Year. Then he came back, and then he played in Everton, and then it seems like he got a calf injury at the Everton game. I think it was towards the back end of the Everton game, so he hasn't played probably at least 3, if not 4 matches since then. I've seen him on the training pitch, so he is training, I would say on paper he'll probably be back on Saturday. We do seriously miss him, because he is a very good player, and even though he hasn't probably scored as many goals as you would expect him to, he's a proper pain in the arse. So for your defenders, for your midfielders, for your whoever it may be, he's everywhere.
Handful.
He's all over the place. So a team, we've noticed this. We've put Visa and Mbumo up front if Ivan Toney isn't playing, and it's just not nearly as effective. And this, again, it's not a disrespect to those players; they're doing what they have to do, but he just brings different problems to the team. And if he's playing and you've got players marking him and he's playing deep, or he's playing deep and they'll come and mark him, then he's creating space for more people up front. And also the way he plays off with Mbeumo as well. The two of them are almost slightly telepathic in the way that they play off each other. So it doesn't quite work with other players. So he's a great player. He needs to get a few goals. I think against Newcastle, he's going to be quite potty for it, actually. You know what I'm saying? Because he's kind of that kind of player as well. So he's going to be wanting to turn the screw against Newcastle, especially with your new band of players that you've got as well.
Yeah. Well, fingers crossed he stubs his toe or something on the morning of it and just out for this game. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, you're saying he hasn't scored as many goals, and I appreciate that, but he's still obviously your top scorer, and you take away any side's top scorer, and, you know, that can have a negative effect. Again, there's that semi-Newcastle connection there. He was here for a few seasons at our place, only made 1 or 2 league appearances. But, you know, I'm sure he'll be hungry to show people, you know, you should have kept us on. But, you know, we'll hopefully he won't be starting for Newcastle's sake. Hopefully for you guys he will be. But, you know, this isn't a podcast where we give the opposition any hope. So moving on from Ivan Toney, there's certainly a gentleman we're going to have to mention, and that's Mr. Christian Eriksen. Obviously, we're all, I'm sure, happy to see him fitting well, back doing what he loves doing. But at the same time, as a Newcastle supporter, it is mooted that he could possibly play a part this Saturday. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'd be very surprised if he doesn't play on Saturday. Christian Eriksen, he's been training by himself beforehand. He went and trained with Ajax, and he came to us. He's been training with us. He in principle could have played the Everton game, then it could have been the Man City game, then it could have been the Crystal Palace game, you know, and then it could have been the Arsenal game. But he's been left out of all these deliberately. They've put him into behind closed doors friendlies. We've had one with Aston Villa where I think he set up a goal in that one, if I remember rightly. And then we played Rangers a couple of days ago, and he set up 2 goals in that one as well. So he's definitely on the lively front. I think he was quoted as saying that I can't believe I'm feeling this fit and I'm feeling this raring to go. So he's absolutely potty for it. And obviously, I think with what he went through, and you know, we all saw it, and it was a horrific, terrible moment.
Horrific.
And for him to have come back from that to go back into football, I say that, you know, listen, he was one of the top players in the Premier League. You know, for a period of time, he's fully experienced. He's a great player. And for him to come back and with all due respect to our team, but sign for Brentford, it's quite surreal. It is quite surreal, and it is quite. I was saying that it's something that kind of makes me sort of feel a bit happy about football, because there's a lot of things about football that you can get really down on. You know, it's so surrounded and run by the money side of things, which some people say, well, it needs money to actually run the game, but sometimes you get a lot of things that are left behind because there's basically a certain focus on a certain things, and so you kind of lose the sort of kind of beautiful side of football, which the
greed you're talking about, the greed there, man.
It's the greed, exactly what you mean. And it's also just the way that sometimes, you know, it runs. You know, I've noticed there's a difference between even the Premier League and the Championship. And as you go lower down the leagues, there's a lot of fans that start going to non-league football as opposed to going to higher league football, because they want to strip away a lot of kind of what the high league football is about, because they feel that if you lose a lot of what football's about at these higher levels, and there's big arguments that you can have whether or not that is the case or not. But the Christian Eriksen thing, for me, he could have gone anywhere, really. You know, there's a number of teams that have said, I want to take you.
Sure,
but he just probably thought, tell you what, I died and I've come back to, and all I want to do is play football. And he looked around, he goes, my mates are over there in that team. I can have a bit of a laugh. They know what I'm all about. I can play football with them. That's all I want to do. You know, I'm not interested in taking 125 grand a week or 150 grand a week. No, what they're going to pay me, whatever, I'll go over there. And I'm thinking, wow, that is kind of like original old school football, and I like that. So I like that story, and I'd like that story even if he wasn't a Brentford player. If he was going to, you know, Norwich or
I appreciate that.
Not Fulham actually, but we should move on.
Or Sunderland or something like that.
But like I said to you, he's going to play. Christian is going to play. I reckon you'll see him on 70 minutes and he'll come on.
Yeah.
And fingers crossed, assist and ball in the penalty area, back of the net.
I'm absolutely fine with him scoring at the weekend. If it's 5-1, it's absolutely fine. Well, 5-1 to Newcastle. But, you know, again, it's one of those ones where, I think if you have to be an idiot not to sort of applaud Christian Eriksen for coming back, just to be happy to see a human being come back from what has happened to him and so publicly. But again, it's one of those ones where, welcome back, Christian. Just do nothing on Saturday for me, please. That's all I can say. That's the nicest way I can put it. But all the power to him, and we all wish him very, very well. So moving on to Saturday, Brentford. They've got us. They've got Newcastle at home. But then after that, it's Norwich away and Burnley at home. I can't look at that. And if I was a Brentford fan, oh my God, you can't pick three bigger games for me. Like when in the form that Brentford are in. Which is unfortunately 1 win in 8, like I said. They are 3 monumental games, especially given that we've got 2 games in hand on Brentford. If we win, we go above you and still have a game in hand. It's so many permutations. But before we get to the game, how confident are you about staving off relegation, A, and B, who do you think are the bottom 3? Right now, who do you think are the 3 sides that are going to go down?
Ooh. Right. So, I mean, I've said from, you know, Dave, and I still said that I believe that we're going to stay up, and it's not rose-tinted glasses. I just feel that we've got enough in the tank. We've got enough players. We are finger in the damn time at the moment now, as I say. So we have been for the last, since we played you, you know, with all the injuries and everything like that. We literally are just basically trying to eke out results. So we got a little result here at Watford and a little result against Aston Villa. And, you know, we're just eking out results, you know. And I think we're eking out results until our players all come back. And Joshua Silva's just started to come back. He's been out for a year. Great player. You know what I'm saying? David Raya's back now in the fold as well. Great player. You know, he had a great game against, you know, even Arsenal, they let a couple of goals. He had a great game up at, you know, he's had some really good games. Christian Ayer's back as well. Like, so all these players are coming back for us. And for me, I was thinking, you know, mid-March, maybe where they're really back in the flow, or maybe even April, they're back in the flow. So for me, I think that, you know, when we're back in the flow, we're going to be, you know, much more like the Brentford that you saw at the beginning of the season. At the moment now, we're literally just kind of just like, let's keep everything out and just let's do what we have to do. So I'd say that I'd like to say that we're going to stay up. The teams that I think are going to get relegated, I'll have to be honest with you. When I saw
careful what you say, Billy.
No,
I'm just going to say careful.
Okay. So we played Norwich, okay, and to be fair, they got in the first half they came at us. They went 1-0 up. In the second half, we absolutely mullered them, but we couldn't score the goal. So they beat us in that game. That was the first and only game that they'd won for ages, and then they sacked the manager immediately after us, after that night, which was quite bizarre. So I thought when I seen them play, and then they got Dean Smith in, I thought they might have a resurgence, but now I actually think they might be too far gone, and they won't. It
sort of went like this though. They pulled the odd result out of their back pocket. Like I think, I mean, everyone's beaten Everton, but you know when they beat Everton, I didn't expect that, and I can't remember what the other one was. But again, you said they'll pick a result, and then it's like 3 losses, and then and
I think, and that's so I think that they're gone. I have to admit, Watford were the worst team that we played, other than Everton. Everton were terrible when we played them, not in the cup, but when we played them in the league, they were terrible. So I think Watford as well. Yes, they got a new manager, and he's come in, and boy, he's trying to do what he's going to do, and he's trying to tighten up the defence and see if they can nick something. But you know, I don't know whether or not Watford are too far gone. You know, and then the third team, to be quite honest with you, tell you something, it's a really tough one, because I'm going to say, I'm not going to say, but Newcastle, this is a bit of a weird one for us, because I don't want Newcastle to go down, because I just love the away day there. We had such a brilliant time when we were there. Had such a laugh. It was just such a great laugh. You know what I'm saying? And at the time when you were doing your thing and we were all up there, I was thinking, if they can get out of it, it's really great. But obviously, we don't want to be going down at the expense of you. So it's kind of one of those situations. But I thought when we played you, it's 3-3. I thought actually you looked really good. Attacking wise, you looked good. So Maximan looked good. Jolinton looked good. So at the time I said, I don't think Newcastle are going to go down. And after you played us, you got that point. I don't think you kind of won another game for ages after that. And it really kind of surprised me. And I was thinking, our team's actually just raising their game against us, because they're thinking, no, we can't get beaten by Brentford. Right, you know what I'm saying? But you literally didn't win for ages. Then after that, you kind of started to pull a few things together, like, you know, in the new year. So you're sort of starting to confuse me. So I don't know. And Burnley, when we played them, also they were brilliant. I thought they were really good. They were playing the ball on the floor. They were hitting us on the break. They weren't doing any of the long stuff. Just like the other day when they beat, was it Tottenham or something like that? They
Tottenham
played
last night,
day. Yeah, or they played somebody and they did exactly the same thing. Where everyone's
Brighton when they beat Brighton 3-0.
That's right. And everyone's going, oh, this is not Burnley that we expected. And I'm like, I said to them, I don't think they're going to go down. So I'm a little bit torn between, whether or not it's going to be Burnley, whether or not it's, Leeds are like being.
That's what I was going to say. Leeds
big time.
And I mean, I think we're not talking about Everton purely because they're Everton. But do you know what I mean?
I was going to say because Everton were terrible, and what's his name's come in, and Frank. Okay,
what's his name?
Yeah,
I just Frank Lampard, whatever he did. I don't remember what he did.
And he had a bit of a bounce against us, in the cup. But then since then, it's not really gone too well for him. And honestly, they were terrible when we played them. So I'm being really kind of sitting on the fence, picking my third team that's going to go down. If you're going to ask me on a gut reaction thing, I'd probably actually say it might be Everton.
Right?
Just from their league form, they bought some players, yes, but I say on their league form. But if you're, because I think Burnley will get out of it, guys. I listened to Dyche the other day.
Yeah, I really do. I mean, and especially, given that I looked at their fixtures last night, I think they've only got City, West Ham, and maybe Arsenal. I might be wrong about Arsenal, of like the top 6 teams, top 7, top 8, and like the rest of them are in and around them, and they've got that ability to just keep, like we saw against Brighton, saw last night against Spurs. They've got that ounce of getting out of it. I wouldn't have said that maybe a couple of months ago, but now I think Weghorst is a great sign as well.
Yeah. So, but if you ask the fans themselves, who do they think are going to go down? I've been watching, and the Leeds fans themselves are absolutely petrified because what they're saying is that they're letting in so many goals. Their defense is so poor at the moment, and they've got no Bamford up front. Rafinha is out of form. So they're thinking that they're really in at sorts, and also Bielsa, they're talking about him not having any plan B. So I thought that was quite interesting because I said there's no way Leeds are going to go down. But now I know what Leeds are like when they run out of steam, because what they do is that they do because he makes them go for it. He keeps the squad tight. He doesn't buy extra players. And then towards the back end of the season, they find it quite hard to kind of keep going. So now they're trying to keep going in a relegation fight as it is. And, that's 6-0 to Liverpool. I mean, I'm not being funny, but, we didn't get battered 6-0 by Liverpool. I'm sure most teams down the bottom.
Neither did we. We scored against them. Yeah,
so that's not a great sign for them. So they could be one that's going to be pulled into it, So, I've given a few there. You can choose
proper politician's answer there, Billy, but I appreciate that. I did put you on the spot on a rival podcast, so I have to appreciate that. I mean, one other thing I'd mention about Burnley is the fact that they've got a very good goal difference. Reminds me a bit of when we were under Rafa, that you're in amongst it and you're going to have to win games, but when you've got a minus, like an 8 differential goal difference to everyone around you, that's a point in itself. So fair play to them, but hopefully, I don't want to pick up Burnley at all. I hope they sink like a stone. Like, I don't have anything against Burnley. I just don't want Newcastle to go down. And I'm talking to a Brentford fan, so I don't want Brentford to go down for the next 5 minutes. But look, we'll just talk briefly about predictions. I mean, but injuries-wise, you've just talked about the injuries you've had. Like, is there anyone who you think you'll definitely be missing on Saturday?
We'll say definitely. I mean, I'm hoping Toney will be back, but he might not be.
Yeah, it's one of them hit and miss ones, yeah.
Yeah, so he might be back. But other than that, I think everyone is pretty much on the way back. We've had players like Zanka, who was I think he's our 4th in line centre back, and he played in the Rangers game the other day. I think he scored in the Rangers game as well. Toney and Eriksen put it on his head and he scored. So Zanka is back as well, which is quite good because he actually steadied the ship for us as well when we had a couple of players when Ayer was injured in the centre of defence as well. So that's good that he's back and he's there or thereabouts as well. But other than that, I'm thinking that we look like we're getting players who are coming back into the fore. Josh De Silva made his first start against Arsenal? That he made his first start. Was it Crystal Palace? I can't remember. But he made his first start as well recently, which is good for him. I think it was against Arsenal, and he did all right. He needs a bit of game time, but he's such a great player, and he's the player that we need, where you put the ball at his feet, and then you can start running at defenders, and the ball sticks to his feet, and so he's a great player. So yes, hopefully we're going to be, and we had one of our scouts, one of our spies were down the training ground, and they sort of said, oh, Well, it's looking a little bit stronger down there on the training
All right.
pitch
I
than
thought
it
you
was
meant
a few
down there,
weeks.
Newcastle's training ground there, Billy. I thought you were doing a Bielsa. I thought you were saying you'd
Oh
have
no,
had the lads
we're
down
not
the
doing
training
it.
ground.
Listen, we leave those to the Yorkshire lot to start doing that, climbing trees and that. Far too dangerous for us, and probably far too windy and far too cold as well.
Oh, you want to feel it up here, mate? Different climate up in Newcastle.
That's right. So,
But,
so listen, honestly, like I said, looking forward to the match. Like I said to you, we're going to be there nice and early. Like I said, Newcastle fans can come down. Boozers are plenty. We drink at a pub called the Glow, which you could just check it out. If you go to Beesotted.com, we'll have a pub guide first thing in the morning, actually, on Beesotted.com, and we have a pub guide on there. We'll have our podcast, which is going to be embedded in the pub guide as well, which is going to be in the match preview. So we'll have a match preview of one of your BBC Newcastle guys is going to be actually doing the preview in there. We'll have the podcast. We'll have a good pub guide. We should have 25 pubs in there that you can go to. It's got even a nice pub crawl. I know a lot of the Newcastle fans are going to Hanwell Town as well, actually, because Hanwell Town.
Oh, they're the Geordie representations.
The Geordies, that's right,
the
mate.
black and
So
white
they're opening the bar.
Nice. Love that. Love it.
It's a really good little club. I told you. I mean, I was just picked up my daughter from football today, and I coached the team last year. And one of the last games we played last season, actually, we got promoted at Hanwell Town. So we actually played in the pitch right beside the stadium there. They're sort of little old school stadium, and that we played against them, and lovely. The people came up when we got promoted and bought the girls ice creams and stuff, and we just had a really, really lovely day. And so I'm actually giving you props, saying you've got a nice little hook up there. And if anyone doesn't want to come down to the Globe or any one of our pubs, which is about 10 to 15 minutes walk from the stadium, go up to Hanwell Town, and I'm sure they'll take good care of you. But like I said, plenty of good pubs in Brentford for you to come to. You're welcome with open arms, but don't go home with 3 points.
Love that, Billy. I absolutely love that. I love the way we're saying all the nice things, and we're just punctuating them with but don't win. Welcome back, Christian Eriksen. I'm so happy, but just do not do anything good. So, one last big question. Put you on the spot. What's your prediction, mate? Go on, give us a scoreline.
Okay. So to you, check out our podcast, ProdWest.London, which you are actually on our podcast.
Yes, I am.
As well. Thank you very much for appearing on that.
You've done
the preview, and we've done some predictions. And I went a little bit loopy because we just come back from holiday. I was in Spain for the week. I was in Mallorca for a week, so I was feeling a little bit tropical. And I went into the fridge, and everyone else was drinking beers, and there was no sangria, as I've been drinking the last few weeks. So there's nothing. There's nothing in the fridge because I fluffed it because I haven't bought anything. So I had to go and raid the sort of Christmas cabinet, and I ended up sort of getting a G&T. So we were sort of doing the podcast with a couple of gin and tonics. And I think, it wasn't very tropical at all. So I think by the end of it, they said, "What's your prediction?" I was like, "Oh yes, we're going to win 3-0." So I think that it might have been the Hendrix talking on that one, So I've got to go with that same result because that's what I've done. Personally, if that happened, I think you won't find me on a Saturday night. I'll be lying in the gutter somewhere,
But with a smile on your face.
I think the likelihood of that happening is going to be probably quite low. But I'm trying to be consistent here, which is all good. No, to be honest with you, I think it's going to be. I actually think it's going to be a tighter game, and 100%. We don't let in. We don't have many clean sheets, so. The fact that I didn't actually say that I'm going to let in at least one goal, it shows that I was obviously all over the cap. It'll probably be closer to 2-2, to be quite honest with you, but I'm going to go 3-0 just because that's what I said on our podcast.
Fair play. Well, I have everything crossed that you're wrong. But I mean, I've been thinking about it. I've been trying to be optimistic in all my predictions. Would I take a point? I'm not too sure, just given how well we've been playing, even with the injuries. But Brentford and all mugs. So, I mean, I'm going to say 2-1 Newcastle. That's me heart prediction. I think it might be similar to Burnley. Maybe you might, last season, Burnley, when we played them behind closed doors, you might score first and we might think, right, it's all doom and gloom and we might turn things around. But then again, Alan St. Maximin's probably not going to play. Excuse me. He's in France. He's doing his rehab there whilst playing his little card game. And I just don't think he's going to be playing. So that's a huge miss for us. I guess, especially, I don't want to disrespect Burnley because it's not against a side like Burnley, but you've seen him play, he can be the difference maker in a lot of games in the Premier League.
He's brilliant. He's brilliant.
Yeah, he's
honestly.
Fantastic on his day anyway. But, he'll be missed, but the performance against West Ham against West Ham at the weekend really buoyed me. It's shown that Eddie Howe has had a big effect on the team now. You said about how the 3-3, we looked okay against Brentford and didn't win a game for a while. We won one game against Burnley, but still things didn't look great. We got beat 4-0 against Leicester. But then he slowly, and I said this on your podcast, he slowly started turning this unconfident, disorganised defensive unit into an actual unit. And we look a lot stronger, especially with the new signings. So fingers crossed we can do something. I'll say hard 2-1, but I appreciate where you're coming through when you mentioned 2-2 there. I reckon there will be goals in this one. There definitely will be goals in this one. But I'm
going to tell you something. I'm just going to quickly say.
Yeah, of course.
I would actually take a point now.
Oh, interesting.
Just saying that. So you said you wouldn't. I would. 100%. I'd take a point.
I didn't say
now.
I wouldn't. I just not sure. Just given the form that Brentford are in, the form we're in, we haven't lost since just after Christmas. You guys, like I said, won 1 in 8. You'd think, right, well, you need to be looking for points here. You have to be looking for points here, given the fact that, our last 4 games have been 3 wins and a draw against teams around us, a good Villa side, against a decent West Ham side. We got a point from coming a goal down. So we've got confidence. It's just the injuries and see how much they affect us, really. But as long as it's not 3-0, because Billy, I will unfollow you on Twitter if it is. But you've heard it. Oh, thanks, mate.
I haven't been on there, is what I mean.
Oh, yeah, sorry. You did say. Sorry, I thought that was a little dig.
No.
But you have heard it here. Anyone who's listening who's going to the game on Saturday, get yourself in and around the ground. Go and see Billy and his pals. Obviously, if you're going up to the ground as well, just have a good time. Stay safe. Just Billy, your passion for football is infectious. It is what it's about. It's about getting in and around away fans, talking to them, having a good time. Yes, for 2 hours in the ground, we hate each other, but at the end of the day, we're all here for one thing, and that's football. And like I said, your positivity, your love of the game, it's very infectious. And I wish there was more people like you in and around the podcast fan thing, YouTube scene. I've spoken to some lovely people, and they're all great, but I like the fact that, at its core, you see football as just, something to be enjoyed, even if things aren't going too well.
That's right. Well, thanks very much for inviting me on. Like I said to you, I'm one of your old buddies as well. Kevin Miles as well, the old FSF Kevin Miles. Yeah, he'll be down the globe as well with us today. He came down last time with a whole load of characters, including Richard, the newsman. Richard, who reads the news as well, is a big Geordie fan as well. As well, I'm talking about they're all coming down to the globe as well.
They'll all be there.
Drink up, so she's gonna be a laugh, So at the end of the day, kick football out of football is what we say.
Kick football out of football. Love it. That is great. Well, I'll tell you what, we'll end it there. Billy, thank you so much for coming on. Hopefully it's not the last time we see you. Hopefully after this weekend, results pick up and you stay in the Premier League, and we'll stay in the Premier League. We'll talk again next season. We'll meet for a beer up around Newcastle, and things will be great. But to everyone watching the video, thank you very much for being here. Please like the video, share it if you will, subscribe if you haven't. If you haven't, what are you doing? Get subscribed. There's loads of stuff on this channel that are good for Newcastle United fans. And just if you're traveling the game against Brentford, safe travels, and we'll see you in a bit. Take care.
Enjoy your season after Saturday, everybody. Okay.
Got to get the last one in.